Shavuot Tov, everybody.
Right,
This week in Jewish history, my background. Any ideas?
No, I don't want to tell you who it looks like to me.
Yoshki.
I was born.
Okay, who does it look like, Hannah?
Who's that
Yoshki.
behind you?
Yoshki.
Looks like Shakespeare.
It looks like Shakespeare. It looks like Yoshki. Okay, maybe I'll show you this instead.
Is it the
But
Rambam?
then you'll know straight away who it is if I show you a
Is
different
it the
picture.
Rambam?
It is not the Rambam. You can't actually see his head. Let me show you his head. Might be a better way of doing it.
Not the King of Spain.
It is not the King of Spain. You are right. Let's see if this comes up on your screen. And you'll be able to see him better. How about that? Can you see that?
King of England.
He is the King of England. Correct. He is the King of England. Which King of England is he?
Henry VIII.
And why have I got him on the screen today?
Richard III. Richard III.
No. It is neither Henry VIII nor Richard III. Let's think laterally here.
Richard the Lionheart?
Now, what happened in Jewish history this week, which was of relevance to the King of England?
Edward III, I think he expelled the Jews 1291.
Very good, Jeffrey. Almost 100% correct. The Jews
1291, was it? 1296.
No, 1290. You were right about that. 1290. 1290. Yeah, the Jews were expelled in 1290 by this man, but it was not Edward III. It was Edward I. So you were almost 100% correct, Jeffrey. Very good. This man is Edward I. He was responsible for the expulsion of the Jews in 1290, largely for the simple reason that he wanted their money. So he expelled them and confiscated all their property and all their money. And it was going to be, 366 years until they were allowed back in 1656 by Oliver Cromwell. So this week in Jewish history, that occurred, the expulsion of the Jews occurred on July the 18th, 1290. And that is why we have him on our screen.
It wouldn't have been by any chance Tisha B'Av.
Well, it would have been around about Tisha B'Av, wouldn't it?
Yeah. It was during the 3 weeks, I think.
It was during the 3 weeks. I'm not sure it was actually on Tisha B'Av. Of course, the expulsion from Spain was on Tisha B'Av in 1492, which is not surprising. I mean, we think of this, I think, if I'm really honest, I think we often think of this upside down. We say, well, HaKadosh Baruch Hu promised us that the night of Tisha B'Av, because we cried for nothing with the sin of the spies on Tisha B'Av, HaKadosh Baruch Hu says, you're crying for nothing. Like my father used to say, I'll give you something to cry about, right? And Tisha B'Av became a night of crying for all time. And that's how we believe that Tisha B'Av is. That's why all the bad things happened on Tisha B'Av. Now, remember that all of these kings and inquisitors and what have you that expelled the Jews didn't randomly choose Tisha B'Av, right? You could argue, and I'm sure that Hannah would, that Tisha B'Av actually chose itself because HaKadosh Baruch Hu said that this is going to be a night of crying. However, you could argue that all of these kings and inquisitors knew their Bible very, very well and would have known the idea that Tisha B'Av was a bad day for the Jews. And therefore, you could argue that they deliberately chose Tisha B'Av for these expulsions. Yes, Hannah?
You said the 16th of July?
18th of July.
Tisha B'Av.
18th of July, 1290 was Tisha B'Av.
Yeah, I thought it was the 16th, and the 16th is Zain. So
Okay.
the 18th is Chet.
There you go. So there you go. Another example, 1492, 1290. Not a coincidence, whichever way you look at it.
Can I make a comment?
Yes.
Our festivals and serious dates are called Chagim. Chag comes from the word mechugah, as in a clock, the hands of a clock. And the concept is that whatever hand it is goes around, and every year at the same time is the same constellation of energy and whatever makes the world run and causes things to happen. And the 3 weeks and Tisha B'Av are a time of very negative energy for Am Yisrael.
Agreed. Okay. I've got rid of Edward I because I don't think we should have him on our background anymore. We've got rid of him, but that is this week. This week in Jewish history. Bad news for the Jews. Tisha B'Av coming up. Right. Let's go on with our subject.
I'm sorry to interrupt, but that's absolutely incredible that the Jews were also expelled from England on Tisha B'Av.
I don't think it's incredible at all. I think it's entirely credible. I think it's entirely.
But it's mind-boggling.
I think it's entirely credible from a philosophical point of view that you've just said, that we know that Tisha B'Av is a day that bad things happen. Kodesh Baruch Hu promised us that. And I think it's entirely credible, as I said, in a rationalist explanation as well, because all of these people will have known that Tisha B'Av was a bad time for the Jews, and therefore they chose it deliberately to expel us on that day. So I don't think it's incredible at all. I think it's entirely credible, whichever way you look at it, whether you look at it from a rationalist point of view or whether you look at it from a circular history point of view. Either way, I think it's entirely predictable and in keeping with our history.
Goes to show you the power of the Almighty.
Absolutely, 100%.
Yeah, you've also got evidence for that. Look at the Yom Kippur War or October 7th. These dates were picked because of what they were.
Yeah,
in a similar way. They always pick on.
That's right. That's the rationalist viewpoint. You can argue on the sort of more spiritual point of view that those days have a certain kedusha to them, and therefore they are days which we have to behave in a certain way, etc. Yes, Jeffrey.
So the Jews at that time were moneylenders. That's all that they were allowed to be, and the crown was in tremendous debt. The English crown was in tremendous debt to these moneylenders. Mm-hmm. So by expelling them, they wiped out the debt. And Edward I then went on to build fortifications, castles along the Welsh coastline. And he was responsible for building many castles. There was also crusades that went on during his crownship, is like
during his
reign, yeah. And they built, the Crusaders then went on to build fortifications similar to the Welsh ones in Lebanon and northern Israel, and we've just Israel IDF has just destroyed or captured one in Lebanon at the moment, which was built around that period.
Beaufort Castle. Yeah. Okay. Yes, Philip.
It's a very little known fact because I'm just adding on to what Jeff said here. It's a very little known fact that the Lion of Jerusalem, the flag of Jerusalem that we see still today, is exactly the same as the Flemish lion, which is still in Belgium, which is still used. The lion, the Crusaders came to the Holy Land after they chucked out the Jews, and they brought their flag with them, which is now being used in Jerusalem by the Jewish municipality of Jerusalem.
I don't want to get into that, but I'm not so sure about that.
Yes, you can be sure. I know what I'm saying.
I'm not so sure about that. We have the Lion of Judah.
Check it out.
Yehuda is called Yehuda Aryeh. Yehuda is called a lion. The symbol of Yehuda, where Jerusalem was the capital of Yehuda and still is, the symbol of Yehuda was a lion long before the Crusades and long before Belgium. So I don't accept that for one moment. Okay, I don't think that's right at all, Philip. Sorry. Right, let's get on with.
I'll show it to you. I'll send it to you.
Yeah, you can send me whatever you like. I still won't believe it. Right. Right, let's get on with.
Philip, you got to go back before Jacob.
Let's go on to
something.
Right, let's go on to our subject, which is Shmuel Bet. I'm going to have to do a separate share for the this week in Jewish history at this rate. Otherwise, we're not going to get anywhere. Right. We are in the story. Have you got the screen on there?
Yes.
Yes, good. Okay, so we're in chapter 14 there of Shmuel Bet.
Yep.
And you will remember that Yoav got involved and tries to arrange David to bring back Avshalom from exile, self-exile, after Avshalom had killed Amnon, who had raped his sister Tamar. Avshalom has been in exile for how long at this point?
2 years.
3 years. 3 years. Okay. And so, interestingly, the first pasuk of this chapter, which we've done already, was Yoav knew the king's heart longed for Avshalom. So I'm going to ask you at some point, not today, because we haven't finished, but ultimately, when we have finished with David and Yoav in months' time, right, several months' time, the end of chapter 19 or 20, I'm going to ask you to give me a summary of the relationship between Yoav and David, because it is a very, very complex relationship, and we're seeing that here. We're seeing an example of it, but we'll save that for later on. So Yoav gets this actress from Tekoah, tells her what to do. She goes to the king and tells the king a story that she is a poor widow who had 2 sons, and one of them struck the other in a field so that he died, and the other members of the family want to bring the killer to justice and kill him. And she's very upset about this woman, because she says, if that happens, I'll have nobody left at all, and my husband's name will be lost forever. That's where we got to last time. That's the parable. And we started to speak about this connection between this story and the Cain and Abel story. Okay, there is very clearly a connection. First of all, the woman says that this happened in a field, and we're told the same with the Cain and Abel story. There's the Cain and Abel story on the screen for you now, right? Chapter 4 of Bereshit. And he rose up. They were in the field. Look at verse 8, Jeffrey, on the screen, please.
I've got it here in the art scroll.
Okay.
Yeah. The king said to the woman,
wait. We're in chapter 4 of Bereshit.
Oh, I'm sorry. I'm so
on the
sorry.
Screen. On the screen.
And Cain spoke to Abel his brother, and it came to pass when they were in the field that Cain rose up against Abel his brother and slew him.
Okay, so they're in the field. Can you see that?
Yeah.
And here in our story, have a look what she says. She says, There we go. Verse 6, Jeffrey, in the art scroll in front of you, chapter 14.
Sorry. Yeah. Your maidservant had 2 sons. They quarreled in the field, and there was no rescuer between them. One struck the other and killed him.
There you go. You can see there's a, well, let's stop there. That's a very clear connection. They're both in the field and one kills the other. Yes, Philip, you're muted. You're muted, Philip. Okay, Philip doesn't want to unmute. We can't hear a word you're saying. Jackie.
You were right. You were right. Johnny, you were right. The lions weren't the same. They were similar, but they weren't the same.
Okay. Why are you surprised?
What?
Why are you surprised?
I just checked. I was just checking.
Jolly good. Excellent. Jackie.
I think there's a bigger connection with Moshe, because Moshe killed the Egyptian taskmaster out in the open. He ran away for 40 years, and he came back, and he actually went into Pharaoh's palace. Like King David's palace. He went into Pharaoh's palace and never got punished.
Okay, fair enough. Yeah, I can see the connection here. But I think that what is happening here is that she's sending us to Cain and Abel, particularly because, and this is where I was coming to, because Abel was judged directly by Kodesh Baruch Hu. We know it from the verses themselves, and was not killed. So let's have a look at that. Now, the same expression, one second, the same expression is used for the requesting compassion for the killer. Have a look on the screen, Jeffrey, on the screen, verse 13 and 14.
And Cain said to the Lord, is my iniquity too great to bear? Behold, you have driven me today off the face of the earth, and I shall be hidden from before you, and I will be a wanderer and an exile in the land, and it will be that whoever finds me will kill me.
Okay, so just have a look over here at this expression here. Me'al penei ha'adama. You have driven me today off the face of the earth. Now have a look at our pasuk, pasuk 7, Jeffrey, in our chapter.
Now behold, the entire family rose up against your maidservant and said, hand over the one who struck down his brother, and we shall put him to death for the life of his brother whom he murdered. We shall also destroy this heir.
Keep going.
Keep going. They would thus extinguish my last remaining coal, not leaving for my husband a name and a remnant on the face of the earth.
There you go. Al Panei Ha'adamah. Can you see? Same words. Same words there as there are over there in Bereshit. It's a very clear connection. The field, one rises up against the other. The expression Al Panei Ha'adamah. There is a very clear connection. Yes, Hannah.
Yes, completely. We just read this week the Arim Miklat. And one thing that I thought was strange was that in all the procedure, the Chumash uses the term murder. Even when he killed him inadvertently, the word that it uses is ratzach. Now here we've got harag and we've got yamut, and it seems to be a no-brainer that your son should go to the Ir Miklat and be there. I mean, we're talking David's time. They've got the Torah. They've got Arei Miklat. Yeah, you don't just get to ask somebody to kill them.
Okay.
Yeah.
So first of all, I've got the Arei Miklat on the screen for you now. What kind of person went to the Arei Miklat, the cities of refuge?
The person who had committed manslaughter.
Correct.
He killed
now,
somebody inadvertently.
Inadvertently. Right. Now, did Avshalom kill Amnon inadvertently?
No.
So why should he go to the Arei Miklat?
I'm talking about the woman that comes with the parable.
Okay. So the woman, oh, you come about the woman with a parable. Okay, so the woman with a parable, there's a parable on the screen. Okay. What happened? They fought in the field. There was no rescue between them, and one struck the other and killed him. So clearly, this was premeditated. Otherwise, your answer is a very good answer. Your question's a very good answer.
It could have been self-defense.
You answer, yeah, but it wasn't, Michael. Clearly, because
the two of them were fighting in the field, and therefore one of you don't know who attacked who, and therefore the one who killed the other one, it could have been in self-defense. He might not have been the one who started it.
Correct, and that's Hannah's question. But the question itself answers the question, because the fact that he didn't go to the Arei Miklat is a proof that he was not an inadvertent killer. The fact that the family wants to bring him to justice, to kill him, means that it wasn't an inadvertent, because they're not allowed to do that. It would be very easy then for David to say, what are you talking about here? There's no question to answer. This was an inadvertent killer, murder, a manslaughter, send him to the Arei Miklat. So your question, Hannah, answers your own question. That's why you're confused. You're confused because your question's a very good question, and yours is too, Michael. But the answer's staring us in the face. The very fact that they were not sent to the Arei Miklat proves that it can't have been an inadvertent manslaughter.
You don't send somebody to the Arei Miklat, number one. And number two is the Chumash very clearly states that even a person who murdered premeditatedly needs to be tried. You can't just kill him.
Well, that's why, look at what he says. That's why she's gone to David. What does she say? They say, behold, the whole family rose against your handmaid and said, deliver the one that struck his brother whom he slew. Right, there's your makeh. That usually means to deliberately, and so to destroy the heir. Right, they just say hand him over. They don't say that we're going to kill him. They say hand him over. Right. She is then saying, well, the ultimate result of them handing him over is he'll go to court, he'll get tried, and he'll be put to death, and I will lose another child. She doesn't say that they're going to kill him. She says they say hand him over to justice. So I think it's very clear this was not an inadvertent murder. I'll come to you in a second, Jackie. So we've got a deliberate murder. The woman is saying they want to bring him to justice, and I'm asking you, the king, why has she gone to the king? Because the king is the only one who can dispense mercy, and that's why she's gone to the king with this story. Okay. Yes, Jackie.
I excuse my naivety, and I'm a bit ignorant in this. I thought there had to be two witnesses to a murder before you could try someone.
How do you know there weren't?
Because nobody went in between the two of them.
Nobody was there.
Says there was no one to rescue them. It doesn't mean that they didn't see it.
Okay.
How many? It doesn't mean that they just because they didn't intervene doesn't mean that they didn't see it.
Whereas in Moshe's case,
there was nobody there to intervene, so therefore there wasn't anybody there. I agree with Jackie in that respect.
You made that up. That's not what it says.
Oh, sorry.
What does it say? It says, it doesn't say anything about it. You're mixing up. There
was no rescuer between them.
There was no rescuer between them. Yeah, okay. The ein matzil b'neihem. There was nobody to save them. Doesn't mean that they didn't see it. They might have seen it from a distance, or they might have been powerless to might have been. Oh, I was going to say it might have been two women, but they can't be witnesses, so that doesn't count. Okay, so you've made an assumption there, which is not in the
I
passage.
surrender.
Okay, so anyway, let's go on, because remember, it's a parable. It's a parable. It didn't really happen.
Yeah, it's a story.
So the woman is deliberately sending us to the story of Cain and Abel because Cain didn't get the death penalty. Now, we asked this question at the end of last shiur. I'm sure you remember it. Why didn't Cain get the death penalty? He deliberately killed Hevel. All right, you're going to tell me there were no witnesses. All right, there were no witnesses. Hashem could have arranged, like we spoke in the shiur yesterday, those of you that were there, Jackie, you were there, and Philip, you were there.
If he would have received the death penalty, the world would have been totally depopulated. There were hardly any people yet.
Okay, but Adam and Chava were still at it. They
were still at it, but they were getting older.
They had children after that. We know that. We had Shet. Shet was born after the death of Hevel. So that doesn't.
So you have one. So I mean, you had to
it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter if that's what he's got to get. He's got to get it.
Was just being a little bit, a little bit lenient. Because
the question is why. That's my question. Is why?
Because he was actually doing something for Hakadosh Baruch Hu.
Nah.
By bringing the korban.
Yeah, but Hakadosh Baruch Hu rejected that korban, and then he killed him. Yes, Hannah.
There's a flaw with Philip's argument because, to the best of my recollection, Cain complains to God that if God sets him loose, he's going to get killed by everybody. So God says to him, no, you won't. I'll put a mark on you and everybody will know that you're untouchable. And correct. That's also where we get the expression mark of Cain from.
Mark of Cain, correct. Okay, so the thing is, the question
there were other people in the world even then.
So my question is, why did Cain not get killed by Hashem? Why was Hashem lenient, Jackie?
To give him a chance to do tshuva?
Well, in that case, we should apply that to every killer then. Then there should never be the death penalty for anybody, if that was the case.
I think the Chumash says, but I can't remember.
The Chumash does not say why Hashem did not, but the commentators do speak about it. And they give some incredibly unsatisfactory answers. And the reason that they give unsatisfactory answers is because it's a very difficult question. The truth is, it's a very difficult question. Here you have a premeditated murder, and the punishment is not as we are told to do. So the unsatisfactory answers.
No witnesses.
Okay, that's one of the unsatisfactory answers that are given. I would argue that here you have the Kodesh Baruch Hu as the judge. Kodesh Baruch Hu does not need witnesses as the judge. Kodesh Baruch Hu knows exactly what's gone on. And whilst, and we spoke about this in the shiur yesterday, you weren't there, Hannah, obviously, but we spoke about this in the shiur yesterday, that Dever Ba'ali Olam, Pirkei Avot, Dever Ba'ali Olam, plague comes to the world for the time. No, that's Cherev. That's the next bit of the Mishnah. Dever comes to the world because of the death penalties that the Bet Din can't give. Yeah. So you could argue very, very strongly from that Mishnah in Pirkei Avot that Cain should have suffered a death penalty at the hands of God, and he didn't. Dafka didn't. So it's an unsatisfactory answer. Another unsatisfactory answer is that this is all before the giving of the Torah.
Noahide laws.
Right, yeah. So, and even before the Noahide laws. And so, therefore, Cain didn't know that it was a bad thing to do. Yeah, I don't like any of those things. I think that we just have to accept that things that went on in Gan Eden are not maybe you could say, although this is slightly heretical, are allegorical. There are those that believe that they are allegorical. You could certainly say, at the very least, things that went on in Gan Eden and at that time of history, if you like, were not subject to the normal rules of the Torah afterwards. And you have to say that because there isn't any other satisfactory answer. But it doesn't matter for our purposes here. The point that I'm making, and that's just a side issue. The point is that this woman's parable is hinting at Cain and Abel because Cain did not get the death penalty. Doesn't matter why or how, it's fact, right? And David HaMelech knew the Chumash. So she is trying to hint to him about Avshalom. Why Cain didn't and all that stuff, it's all very interesting, but it's not relevant to the woman's parable, okay? So the woman gives this parable. Now, we want to now look, Hannah, is your hand still up from before or is it a new hand?
The new hand.
Go on then.
I seem to recall somewhere that a Beit Din can't convict life and death on one vote, but it can free. It can release. You can acquit on one vote. And in order to sentence somebody to death, there has to be a majority of 2. I think, as far as I remember. And HaKadosh Baruch Hu, as great as he is only one. But David, as king, can acquit with one vote.
Ooh. I'm not sure about the first part of that. HaKadosh Baruch Hu, as great as he is
only one.
That sounds a bit heretical to me. That sounds a bit heretical to me.
I think she's relying on the case that the rabbis outvoted God in one situation.
I hear where you're coming from. I don't want to get into why Cain didn't get the death penalty anymore because it's too difficult.
It's not relevant to this anyway.
And it's not relevant to us.
An excuse to try and get him back.
Correct. Let's go on and have a look. Verse 8, Jeffrey. We're now going to see David's reaction. This is where I wanted to talk about today. Largely what we've spoken about just now was recap from last week, plus a bit of extra. But this is new stuff now. Verse 8, Jeffrey.
The king said to the woman, "Go home and I will issue a command concerning you."
Stop. What does the king do?
Promises to help her.
Does he? That's not how I read. Not how I read it.
He's basically saying the other brother should be not be executed.
Michael, you broke up there. We didn't hear you.
He's basically saying he'll give orders about you. In other words, he's going to commute his death sentence or not, or ensure that he's not convicted.
You think that's what he says?
I will give orders about you. What else? What else can the orders be about?
Okay, all right. I don't think it reads like that. I'll tell you what I think in a minute when I've heard everybody else. Yes, Jackie?
What he's saying is go home. There's nothing I can do.
Okay, so there you've got 2 people who've read the same pasuk who have said the polar opposite of each other. Michael says the only thing it can possibly mean is that he's going to commute the death sentence. Jackie says, go home. There's nothing I can do for you. They're complete opposites. Right. Jeffrey, what do you think?
Well, I think he wants time to think about it. He wants to be able to turn it over. He wasn't prepared to give her an instant answer.
Yeah, that's what I think. I think he's playing for time. He's thinking, I don't know what the answer to this is. Go home. I'll think about it. I will reserve judgment.
Yeah.
We've not got any of our lawyers on today, have we? Or our judges. Judges quite often reserve judgment, and that's perfectly reasonable. They say, I want to think about this, and that's very sensible and very reasonable. I once was at a Beis Din. It was not a Din Torah as such. It was theoretically, it was a mediation meeting where the Beis Din was meant to be mediating between myself and somebody else. Somebody else said that I owed him money, and I said that this somebody else owed me the same sum of money that I owed him, and therefore it was all cancelled out. And therefore I wasn't going to pay him the money that he said I owed him, which I didn't deny that I owed him, because he owed me the same sum of money. And therefore, I was happy to put my money in Basting if he put his money in Basting, and then we can all take it home again. And there was meant to be a mediation meeting. And we came into the Basting, and there's the Dayan was there with two of his sidekicks, and he heard the evidence, and immediately after hearing the evidence, he said, "This whole thing's rubbish. I can't help you," and walked out. And that was the end of that. Right? That was the end of that. Now, I was very disappointed with that. I mean, the outcome was exactly what I had wanted, and that was that I never gave him any money, and he never gave me any money in the end. But I was very disappointed with what had gone on in this Basting. Granted, it wasn't a din Torah, so it wasn't an official court. It was meant to be a mediation. And I was disappointed because the Dayan had done a knee-jerk reaction without stopping, thinking, considering, and saying, okay, I've heard both sides. Let me go and have a cup of tea for 10 minutes and have a think about it, or I'll come back tomorrow or whatever. And didn't give any opportunity for discussion. It was about as much use as mediation as a chocolate fire guard, right? And that's not how it should be. So here, I think the king is saying, like Jeffrey says, I think the king is saying, this is a bit tricky. I'm not sure. Go home. Let me think about it. Okay, let's go along with that for the moment. Maybe you're right, Michael. Maybe that was what the king was thinking, that I've heard your case and I'm going to go with you. Or maybe you're right, Jackie, saying, go home. Nothing I can do for you. I can't help. Like my Dayan friend, right?
I mean, how far away did the woman live? It would have taken months and months.
Oh, that's a good question. Well, she came from Tekoah. We know where Tekoah is. Tekoah is on the other side of the Jordan, in about months and months. But you're right, it was far away. That's a fair comment. Okay. Anyway, she's not having it. The woman is not having it. Jeffrey, verse 9.
The woman of Tekoah said to the king, the sin will be upon me and upon my father's family. My lord the king and his throne are innocent.
Stop there. I don't like that translation. Let's do it in Hebrew and let's translate it together. V'toma ha'isha. And the woman said, Ha'isha ha'ko'it, the Tekoan woman, said to the king, Alai Adoni Hamelech he'avon va'al beit avi. Upon me, my master, the king, will the sin be, and on my father's house. V'hamelech v'chiso, and the king and his throne, Naki, will be innocent. What's that mean? What's that mean? What's she saying? The king said, go home, I'll think about it. Or go home, I can't help you. Or go, it obviously isn't go home. It's not her answer can't be your answer, Michael, can it? Because if your answer was right, go home, I'm going to do what you've asked, she'd have said, thank you very much. And off she'd gone. So that, I think we can dismiss your answer, Michael. Your answer, Jackie.
My answer's looking better because he's more or less saying, she's saying to him, okay, I'll go home, you'll do nothing, be all right for you. You're off scot-free, it's nothing to do with you, but me, the sin will always be upon me.
Okay, so Jack is putting a case forward for his answer. I'm going to knock it down in a sec, but at the moment, it stands. I'm just looking for something else right now, and I'm just going to try and find the exact pasuk. It's in Parashat Toldot, if I'm not mistaken, and I'll put it on the screen for you. Okay, this expression of the curse will be upon me. One sec. Got it. Okay, it's in Bereshit chapter 27. Let me get it up for you. Bereshit chapter 27. Okay, there is another place in the Torah, which I will just get ready for you now, that's chapter 27, where somebody uses the same expression, alai, upon me will be this. Here she's talking about a sin. This other example in Bereshit is not a sin, but it's the same idea. In other words, don't you worry about it. I'll take the blame. That's what she's saying. What she's saying is, what
Rivka?
she is.
The serpent.
Rivka. Hannah is right. Rivka. We'll come to it in a sec. What she's saying here is, all right, you're going to think about it, King. Let me tell you, if you are worried that if you let him off, in other words, my son, remember, we're still in the parable here. David, at this point, the penny has not yet dropped with David that we're talking about himself. We're still in the parable. She says, okay, you've told me to go home and you'll think about it and you'll decide. Let me tell you that if you decide and you're worried that by letting my son live, you will have done the wrong thing and will be guilty of a miscarriage of justice, don't worry, I'll take the blame. Alai ha'avon, on me will be the sin, and you will be naki, you will be guiltless, you will be innocent. So she says she's reassuring the king, encouraging the king to make the decision that she wants by reassuring him that if there's any guilt going on here, I'll take it on me. It's on me. It's not on you. You will be innocent because you will have made this in good faith. It still could be that Jackie's answer is correct at this point, because if he has said, I can't do anything for you, she could still say, well, if you're worried, if the reason you can't do anything for me is because you're worried about this guilt, I'll take the blame. So it could still be Jackie's answer at the moment. Now, Rivka, you are right, Hannah. The story with Rivka, what am I referring to?
When she sends Yaakov in with to get the blessing from Yitzhak.
Yes, correct. Let's go to the chapter 27. Jeffrey, if you could read for us. We know the story. Yitzhak wants to bless Esav. Rivka overhears it and says to Yaakov, you need to go and get this bracha. I'll make the food. You get dressed up as Esav and go in there and you take the bracha. And Yaakov is not happy. Have a look at this. Verse 11 through to 13 inclusive, Jeffrey, please, on the screen.
And Jacob said to Rebekah his mother, behold, my brother Esau is a hairy man, whereas I am a smooth man. Perhaps my father will touch me, and I will appear to him as a deceiver, and I will bring upon myself a curse and not a blessing. And his mother said to him, on me is your curse, my son. Only hearken to my voice and go. Take them for me.
Okay, so she says, Alai kilelatecha b'ni. On me your curse will be. In other words, she's reassuring him. If there's any curses going on here, I'll take them because I'm the one that's telling you to do this. Now, Alai kilelatecha b'ni. Our pasuk says, Alai Adoni Hamelech Ha'avon. Rivka refers to the relationship between her and Yaakov. Alai kilalatecha bani. Don't worry about it. You are my son. I would not allow anything to happen to you. I will take the blame. Similarly, the woman says, Alai Adoni Hamelech, you are my master, the king. If there's any blame to be going on here, I will take it because you are my master. And I will, as your servant, take the blame that's going on. So there's a connection there between the language of Alai Kilalatecha Bani and this expression here. Just as a by the way, I once heard a beautiful explanation, which is not pshat, it's not simple pshat, it's a bit of a drush, but I like it. She says, Alai kilalatecha bani, your curse, my son, is alai. Okay, what is the alai? Alai stands for ayin, stands for Esav. Lamed stands for Lavan, and Yud stands for Yosef. The curses that you're going to get in your life, the difficulties you're going to get in your life are going to be through Esav, Lavan, and Yosef, not your father, Yitzchak. I rather liked that drush. It's very easy to knock it down because the Yud could be Yitzchak as well. So whoever says that pshat, and I don't remember who it is, but whoever says that drush, it's a little bit weak, but I rather like it. So she's saying, you don't have to worry. I know with Ruach HaKodesh, you're going to have tzoros in your life. You're going to have tzoros from Esav, from Lavan, and with Yosef. You don't have to worry about your father. He's not going to give you any curses. I rather like that idea, but again, a little bit beside the point. Let's go back to Shmuel Bet. The woman's trying to reassure the king here and push him in the direction of Michael Kraus, right? She's trying to push the king to make the decision and let's go on and see what she says in verse 11, Jeffrey, in our chapter.
She said, may the king remember Hashem, your God, to protect me from the many destructive blood avengers, so that they not destroy my son. And he said, as Hashem lives, not one hair of your son shall fall to the ground.
Okay, so let's just unpack that pasuk, because again, I don't like that translation. It's not clear, is it? What have you got a living nach by any chance, Michael, on you there?
Yep.
Can you tell me what the living nach says? Because they usually translate things in a very unliteral but understandable way. We're on chapter 14, verse 11.
May the king please be mindful of God your Lord, she responded, and restrain the blood strangers from causing great destruction so that they won't kill my son.
Okay, that's a bit more understandable, isn't it? What have we got on the screen? And she said, I beg you, let the king remember Hashem, the avenger of blood, let that the avenger of blood destroy not excessively, so that they don't destroy my son. So she is saying, remember Hashem. What's Hashem got to do with it?
He's the ultimate.
Right, okay, but so that the avenger of the blood destroy not excessively. I'm going to bring back Philip's idea here now. What did I tell you before about Cain and Abel? I said that the woman deliberately invoked Cain and Abel. Who has made the decision about whether Cain should be killed?
The Almighty.
The Almighty. So she says, I beg you, let the king remember Hashem. In brackets, what decision he made with Cain. Philip said that the reason that Cain wasn't killed was that would have been an excessive problem for the world's population, because we needed to populate. Hannah did bring us proof to say that there were others, and there were others, as we know. However, it's true to say that the world's population was not so very great at that time, and Cain was a significant proportion of it. And I suspect that this pasuk here is another little hint towards Cain and Abel. Remember Hashem, king. Hashem never killed Cain. He didn't want to excessively destroy, and he let Cain off with exile. Okay. Avshalom's done his exile. That's what we're going to come to in a minute. At the moment, the penny hasn't dropped yet. We're still on the parable, but we're going to come to that in a minute. And so I think that's what the woman is saying. But I'm more interested in the king. A minute ago, in verse 8, he says, go to your house. I'll think about it. I'm not sure. And I'll let you know. She says one more thing. And what does he say? Jeffrey, read it again for us. Verse 11, the end of it.
As Hashem lives, not one hair of your son shall fall to the ground.
Which means?
It shouldn't be hurt.
Yes, not one hair. I won't harm the hair of your head. Is that an English expression? It sounds familiar to me.
Yeah.
Something like that. Maybe that's where that expression comes from over here. He says, not one hair of your head shall fall to the earth. Okay, I want you to remember this pasuk for later on in the next chapter. Okay, that's all I'm going to say because I don't want to upset Michael. But I want you to remember this pasuk, and when we get to where we're going to get to, you'll know exactly why I've said that. Okay, so King David displays what here?
Wisdom.
Okay, you could say that's wisdom. What else could you call it?
Empathy.
You could call it empathy.
Mercy.
You could call it mercy. You could call it weakness. You could call it weakness. He's persuaded by this woman's nagging. A minute ago, he didn't know. And now suddenly she says one more thing and he makes a decision. He displays a weakness. Avshalom deserved to die. He deliberately went out to kill Amnon. But he's also very vulnerable, isn't he, David? Why is he vulnerable?
He's done the same thing previously.
He's done the same thing to Uriah. Got him killed. How he did it, this and that and the other, we know that. Bottom line was, David got Uriah killed deliberately. Bottom line, Avshalom got Amnon killed deliberately. People in glass houses shouldn't get undressed with a light on. Right? People in glass houses shouldn't throw stones, right? David's not in a strong position here to make a decision. So you could argue all of those things, compassion, mercy, wisdom, all of those things. But I think you could also argue this was another example of David's weakness following the Bathsheba debacle. And as we've said over and over again, and I make no apologies for saying it yet again, everything that comes in the life of David after the Bathsheba story is as a result of the Bathsheba story, is affected by the Bathsheba story, and has the spectre of the Bathsheba story hanging over it. And this is another example of, and I'll go a little bit further and saying it's a lesson to us that when you are in a position where your passions run wild with you, it never ends well.
Hold it, but initially he could have said, look, I'll go away and think about it. And then in the intervening time, she said something, he had time to think about it, and therefore then he came to a decision. So it might not be weakness either. It might have just needed a few minutes just to sort out his thoughts. And she came with the...
How long did it take her to say that one sentence, Michael?
Well,
okay, I hear your point, but I don't think so. I think it's weakness. Yes, Jackie, go on.
Must have been stronger than David because he sent her home and she wouldn't give up. She carried on and on and on and on.
Yeah, I mean, that's another point. It did occur to me that actually that she's a brave woman. This woman. Remember, she's being paid for this, but it's not actually true. This story. She's doing a great job. And that's why she's described as an Isha Chachama. She's a wise woman. Yoav didn't just choose any old woman. Remember, we asked this question last week. Why did he schlep this woman from Tekoah? She's miles away. She's the bee's knees, this woman. She's the top, she's Julia Roberts or whoever your favorite actress is, right? Yeah. She's the bee's knees. She's doing a great job. Yes, Hannah.
I can't remember where, but I have a feeling that there's a Mishnah that says somewhere in it, ki mitzvah goreret mitzvah va'avera goreret avera. I think it's somewhere in Pirkei Avot, but I can't find it right now.
It is in Pirkei Avot, and I think it's in chapter 2, but I couldn't promise you.
Yeah.
But it is in Pirkei Avot. Correct. A mitzvah brings in its wake goreret. Mitzvah goreret a mitzvah. A mitzvah drags in its wake. Okay, not you, Hannah. Not you. A modern Hebrew word which is connected to that word goreret. Mitzvah goreret mitzvah. A mitzvah brings in its wake another mitzvah. A modern Hebrew word that you will see in that that is used, that comes from that word. Anyone? Have you ever had a breakdown of your car? Yeah? What's the tow truck called? Gorer. The tow truck is called gorer, the one that drags you along. It's the same word. If you ever have parked in a place where you should not park, then you might have seen a sign that says Rechev Zar Yigarer. Rechev is what's a Rechev? Hannah, what's a vehicle? Zar Al Kisei Lo Yeshev Zar. What's that? Where do you say that?
Oh, wait. Al Kisei
Lo Yeshev Zar. Come on, it's on the tip of your tongue. Where'd you say that? You've all said it. You've all said it. It's in the brachot after the Haftorah.
Yeah.
Al Kisei Lo Yeshiv Zar. We're talking about David. Al Kisei Lo Yeshiv Zar. A stranger shall not sit on his throne. I thought you might have remembered that, Jeffrey, because I told you the story about Dan's toilet.
You know what? My powers of recall have really diminished, Jonathan. I knew it, and I was actually saying it to myself.
For those of you that I don't know what I'm referring to, Michael's smiling because he probably remembers that my son has a special, next to his office, he has a special toilet which is reserved for the rabbi's use. And on the door of it, it says, Al Kiso, on his throne, Lo Yeshev Zar, a stranger shall not sit. In other words, keep out. Right, Al Kisei Lo Yeshev Zar. So Rechev Zar, a strange vehicle. In other words, a vehicle that doesn't belong here. Yigarer, will be towed. So if you see that sign, don't park there, because when you get back, you might find that your car is no longer there. Okay, so that's the same word. Mitzvah goreret mitzvah. A mitzvah brings in its wake, drags behind it another mitzvah, and avera goreret avera. A sin brings another sin. Go on, Hannah. Why did you raise that?
I found the Mishnah. Ben Azai Omer, Havei rats lemitzvah kala ובורח מן העבירה, שמצווה גוררת מצווה ועבירה גוררת עבירה, ששכר מצווה מצווה ושכר עבירה עבירה. That goes to everything you say about David and Bathsheba. He did his avera. He gave in to his lust. And from there, one thing led to another. And as you say, when he came up against similar situations in life, he was in a very weakened position because one thing leads to another. And I'm just saying that the Mishnah points that out to us in Pirkei Avot.
Yeah, absolutely. That's a very good observation. And everything that we've said, all of the rest of David's life that we read about in Tanakh, which we're in the middle of, everything is colored by the Bathsheba situation. And this inability to make the decision, which was the correct decision, which was that Avshalom should have been tried and, if found guilty, executed.
He should have at least tried to go to an Ir Miklat, and he didn't.
The whole thing was because of David's weakness, because of the position that we've said. Right, we're out of time, so we're going to stop. But I want you to just summarize now what we've said today, because this is a good place to stop. We've talked about the Cain and Abel thing. We've talked about how fascinating it is that 3 people out of 5 at least can have a completely different understanding of a simple pasuk in the Torah, and each one is on the face of it valid. Later events show us that maybe one's more valid than the other, but it's interesting. The woman is brave. She stands up to the king. The king shows weakness. He doesn't know what to do. He's a bit paralyzed. He says, "Go home, I'll think about it." She says one more sentence to him, and he makes a quick decision. We know that he's, what's the word?
Impetuous.
Impetuous, thank you. That's a good word. That's the word I was thinking of. We know he's impetuous. This decision is an impetuous decision. It's colored by the subconscious feelings that he's got following the Bathsheba thing. And he makes the decision. He says, "Your son, Mrs. Tekoah, nobody's allowed to touch him. Anybody touches him, you come to me. I'll sort them out." Now then, what we're going to see next week is that the woman is now going to be on even more shaky ground. She's going, I'll give you a slight spoiler, she's now going to show the king that the parable actually is him. Like in the same way that Nathan did with the lamb, right? This is clearly the same kind of story. And she's a brave woman. I hope she got well paid for this, because this was a big ask what she did.
She was a QC.
That's what we're going to see next week. The woman is going to reveal to David, who, maybe I'm going to ask you the question, so think about this next week. Why was David so dumb? Why did he not realize when Nathan told him the parable? And why did he not realize immediately when the woman tells him the parable that she's talking about him? Why was he so dumb? Don't answer me now. That's the first question we're going to answer next week. Bezrat Hashem, why David was so dumb. Okay. Any questions about today's exciting episode?
Thank you very much.
By the way, we did a lot today. We did 1, 2, 3, 4, 4. We did 6 psukim. That's a lot.
So we should be finished by 2050 or something.
Yeah, something like that. Yes. Okay. We'll see you very soon. Tomorrow we have the Kollel. We have Colin Richmond on the Parashat HaShavua. Those of you who haven't yet watched it or been, I recommend it. It's excellent. Really, really well prepared. Very, very good. Worth coming. And then after that, we've got my shiur on the Kitzur Shulchan Aruch, how to get up in the morning, and then the Tefillah shiur on Anim Zemirot continued. That's for tomorrow's exciting episode. Colin at 9:45, and me at 10:30, and then 11 o'clock Anim Zemirot.
Okay, see you Tuesday, Jackie.